Maya collapsed in the waiting room, her vision blurring as the sterile white ceiling spun above her. When she opened her eyes, a man's face hovered over hers. Sharp jawline, dark eyes. That same worried expression she knew so well. "Ethan," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I'm Dr. Hale," he said gently. The room went silent. Nurses froze. The doctor stared at her, confused. But Maya was shaking, staring at the face of the man she loved, and said, "The baby is yours." Maya's hands trembled as she gripped the edge of the examination table. The doctor stood across from her, his face calm but visibly shaken. He looked exactly like Ethan, the same dark hair, the same line of his jaw. Even the way he held himself, steady, controlled, was the same, but his eyes were different, softer, more careful. "Miss Carter, I need you to breathe," Dr. Hale said quietly. He stepped back, giving her space. "You're safe. You fainted, but you're okay now." Maya shook her head, her breath coming in sharp gasps. "You're him. You're Ethan." The doctor exchanged a glance with the nurse standing by the door. He turned back to Maya, his voice low and measured. "My name is Lucas Hale. I've never met you before today." Maya's vision blurred again, but this time it was tears. She fumbled for her phone on the small table beside her, her fingers clumsy. When she found it, she scrolled through her photos with shaking hands and held the screen up to him. "This is Ethan Carter," she whispered. "He's the father of my baby. He died 2 weeks ago." Lucas took the phone from her carefully. His expression didn't change at first. He stared at the photo, a man with his same face smiling at the camera with his arm around Maya. Then his hand tightened around the phone, his jaw clenched. "Where did you meet him?" Lucas asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "At a gallery opening last year," Maya said, her words coming out broken, fragmented. "He was funny, kind. We fell in love fast. He asked me to marry me 3 months ago. We were going to have a small wedding next spring." Lucas handed the phone back to her. His hand was shaking now, too. "He never told you about his family?" Lucas asked. Maya shook her head. "He said his parents were gone, that he didn't have anyone. I never pushed because it seemed like it hurt him to talk about it." Lucas sat down heavily in the chair across from her. For a long moment, he said nothing. The nurse had left the room at some point. It was just the two of them now. "Ethan was my brother," Lucas said finally. His voice was hollow. "My older brother." Maya stared at him. "What?" "We were close when we were younger," Lucas continued. He wasn't looking at her anymore. He was staring at the floor, his hands clasped together. "After our parents died 8 years ago, we fought about the house, about money, about how to move forward. He wanted to sell everything and start over. I wanted to keep the house. It was the only thing we had left of them. We said things we shouldn't have. He left, changed his last name to Carter, cut off all contact." Maya felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. "He never told me any of that." "He wanted to forget," Lucas said quietly. "That's what he always did when things got hard. He ran." Maya pressed her hands against her stomach, feeling the small curve there. "He didn't run from me. He loved me." Lucas looked up at her then. His eyes were wet. "I'm sure he did. Ethan wasn't a bad person. He just didn't know how to face pain." Maya's voice broke. "He died on a highway at 2 in the morning. The police said it was an accident, but he never drove that late. He was always so careful." Lucas leaned forward. "Do you know where he was going?" "No," Maya said. "He left the apartment around midnight. He said he had to take care of something. That's all I know." Lucas rubbed his face with both hands. He looked exhausted. "I didn't even know he was still in the city. I didn't know he was getting married. I didn't know about you." Maya felt a sharp pain in her chest. "I didn't know about you either." They sat in silence for a long time. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Somewhere down the hall, a phone rang. "What are you going to do now?" Lucas asked. Maya looked down at her hands. "I don't know. I've been staying in a rented apartment, but my landlord just told me I have to leave. I can't afford it anymore. I haven't been able to work since Ethan died. I can barely get out of bed most days." Lucas studied her carefully. "Do you have family? Friends?" "Not here," Maya said. "My parents live overseas. I have a few friends, but no one close enough to ask for help like this. Lucas was quiet again. Then he stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the city stretched out in gray and concrete. He turned back to her. The baby, he said. That's my niece or nephew. Maya nodded. I can't walk away from that, Lucas said. His voice was firm now, decided. I have a house. It's not huge, but there's a guest room. You can stay there until you figure things out. Maya stared at him. Why would you do that? You don't even know me. Because Ethan was my brother, Lucas said, and I didn't get the chance to fix things with him before he died. But I can do this. I can make sure his child is safe. Maya wanted to argue. She wanted to say she didn't need charity, that she could handle this on her own. But the truth was, she couldn't. She was 3 months pregnant, grieving, and running out of options. I have a daughter, Lucas added. Clara, she's 5. She might be shy at first, but she's a good kid. Maya swallowed hard. Are you sure? No, Lucas admitted, but I'm doing it anyway. 3 days later, Maya stood in front of Lucas's house with a single suitcase. The house was modest, a 2-story brick home with a small front yard and a wooden porch. It looked warm, lived in. Lucas opened the door before she could knock. He was dressed casually now, in jeans and a sweater. Behind him, a small girl with dark curls peeked around his leg. This is Clara, Lucas said gently. He rested a hand on his daughter's head. Clara, this is Maya. She's going to be staying with us for a while. Clara didn't say anything. She just stared at Maya with wide, uncertain eyes. Maya crouched down slowly, meeting the girl at eye level. Hi, Clara. It's nice to meet you. Clara shrank back against her father's leg. She's just nervous, Lucas said quietly. She'll warm up. Maya nodded and stood. Lucas picked up her suitcase and led her inside. The house smelled like fresh bread and cinnamon. The living room was cluttered with toys and books, but it felt comfortable. Lived in. Your room is upstairs, Lucas said. He carried her suitcase up the narrow staircase, and Maya followed. Clara trailed behind them, silent. The guest room was small but clean, a single bed with a blue quilt, a wooden dresser, a window that looked out onto the backyard. It wasn't much, but it was more than Maya had expected. Bathroom's down the hall, Lucas said. If you need anything, let me know. Maya set her purse down on the bed. Thank you. Really? Lucas nodded. He turned to leave, but Clara was still standing in the doorway, watching Maya with those same wide eyes. Clara, come on, Lucas said gently. Let's give Maya some space. But Clara didn't move. She looked at Maya, then at her father, then back at Maya. Are you going to leave? Clara asked suddenly. Her voice was small and serious. Maya's heart clenched. She knelt down again. I'm not planning to. Lots of people leave, Clara whispered. Lucas closed his eyes briefly. Clara, that's enough. But Maya understood. This little girl had lost her mother. She had watched people come and go. She didn't trust easily anymore. I'll be here as long as your dad says I can stay, Maya said softly. I promise I won't just disappear. Clara studied her for a long moment. Then without a word, she turned and walked back down the hall. Lucas let out a slow breath. I'm sorry, she's been through a lot. So have I, Maya said quietly. That first week was hard. Clara avoided Maya. She wouldn't sit at the same table during meals. She wouldn't play if Maya was in the room. Lucas tried to encourage her, but he didn't push. He seemed to understand that Clara needed time. Maya didn't force it either. She spent most of her time in her room, sketching in her notebook or staring out the window. But sometimes when Clara wasn't looking, Maya would leave small things for her. A drawing of a flower, a little origami crane she'd folded from scrap paper. Clara never said anything about them, but they always disappeared. One evening, Maya was sitting in the living room with a cup of tea when Clara crept downstairs. The girl stood in the doorway, clutching a stuffed bunny. Did you make this? Clara asked, holding up one of the drawings, a butterfly with bright wings. Maya looked up. I did. Do you like it? Clara nodded slowly. Can you make me one with a unicorn? Maya smiled. I can do that. Clara climbed onto the couch beside her, keeping a careful distance. Maya pulled out her sketchbook and started drawing. Clara watched in silence, her bunny tucked under her chin. When Maya finished, she tore the page out and handed it to Clara. The girl took it carefully, like it was something precious. "Thank you," Clara whispered. "You're welcome." From the kitchen doorway, Lucas watched them. He didn't say anything. He just stood there, his arms crossed, something unreadable in his eyes. That night, after Clara was asleep, Lucas knocked on Maya's door. She opened it to find him holding 2 mugs of tea. "Thought you might want some company," he said. They sat in the living room together, the house quiet around them. For a while, neither of them spoke. "Tell me about Ethan," Lucas said finally. "What was he like with you?" Maya wrapped her hands around her mug. "He was gentle. He made me laugh. He used to bring me coffee every morning. Even when he was running late for work, he'd leave little notes on the mirror. Stupid things like, 'You're beautiful,' or 'Don't forget to eat.'" Lucas smiled faintly. "That sounds like him. He was always doing things like that when we were kids, leaving notes, surprises." "He never talked about his past," Maya said. "But sometimes I'd catch him staring out the window and I knew he was thinking about something that hurt. I asked him once and he just said he'd made mistakes he couldn't fix." Lucas's jaw tightened. He wasn't the only one. Maya looked at him. "Do you regret it, the fight?" "Every day," Lucas said quietly. "I should have been the one to reach out. I was younger, but I was stubborn. I thought if I waited, he'd come back. But he never did." "He loved you," Maya said. "I'm sure of it." Lucas shook his head. "I'll never know now." They sat together in the growing dark, two people bound by the ghost of a man they'd both loved and lost. A month had passed since Maya moved in. The house had started to feel less like a temporary shelter and more like something Maya didn't have a name for yet. Clara had started talking to her more, short sentences at first, then longer ones. The girl would sit beside Maya while she sketched, asking questions about colors and shapes. Sometimes Clara would hum while Maya worked. "Yaukahem," or Kirk, a sound so innocent it made Maya's chest ache. Lucas kept his distance. He was polite, kind even. But there was something careful in the way he moved around her, like he was always aware of where she was in the room, always measuring his words before he spoke. One night after Clara had gone to bed, Maya found Lucas sitting at the kitchen table with a laptop open in front of him. His face was tight with concentration, his jaw set. "What are you looking at?" Maya asked. Lucas glanced up, startled. He closed the laptop halfway. "Nothing important." Maya pulled out the chair across from him and sat down. "You're a terrible liar." Lucas hesitated, then opened the laptop again. On the screen was a news article about a car accident. The headline read, "Local man dies in late-night crash on Route 42. Maya's stomach dropped. "That's Ethan." Lucas nodded slowly. "I've been trying to figure out what happened. The police report says it was a single-car accident. He lost control and hit a guardrail. But something doesn't add up." Maya leaned closer, scanning the article. "What do you mean?" "The accident happened at 2 in the morning, Lucas said. On a road he had no reason to be on. Route 42 is industrial. There's nothing out there except warehouses and storage facilities." Maya felt a chill run through her. "He told me he had to take care of something. That's all he said." Lucas clicked to another tab, a map with a red pin dropped on the location of the crash. "I called a friend of mine who works in records. He helped me pull the accident report. There were no skid marks, no sign that Ethan tried to brake." Maya's hands went cold. "What are you saying?" "I don't know," Lucas admitted. His voice was strained. "I'm not saying anything for sure. But Ethan was a careful driver. He wouldn't just lose control like that." Maya stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "You think he did it on purpose?" "I don't know," Lucas said again. He closed the laptop and looked up at her. "I'm just trying to understand." Maya wrapped her arms around herself. "He wouldn't leave me, not like that, not when he knew about the baby." Lucas's expression softened. "I'm not accusing him of anything. I'm just saying there are questions, and I think we deserve answers." Maya sat back down slowly. Her hands were shaking. "Did you find anything else?" Lucas reached into a folder beside the laptop and pulled out a few printed documents. "I contacted some of Ethan's old friends. Turns out he'd been struggling financially. He took out a loan 6 months ago. 30,000. Maya stared at him. 30,000 for what? To open an art studio, Lucas said quietly. For you. Maya felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. What? Lucas slid one of the documents across the table. It was a lease agreement for a small commercial space downtown. Ethan's signature was at the bottom. He wanted to surprise you, Lucas said, but the studio never took off. He couldn't get enough clients. The loan payments started piling up, and he was still paying back nearly 25,000 when he died. Maya pressed her hands to her mouth. Tears spilled down her cheeks. He never told me. He never said anything. He didn't want you to feel guilty, Lucas said. That's what one of his friends told me. Ethan thought he could fix it on his own. Maya shook her head, her voice breaking. He should have told me. I would have helped. We could have figured it out together. Lucas reached across the table and rested his hand over hers. He loved you. That's what mattered to him. He just didn't know how to ask for help. Maya pulled her hand back and wiped her eyes. So what now? What do we do with this? Lucas leaned back in his chair. I don't know, but I think we owe it to him to find out what really happened that night. The next few days were a blur. Lucas contacted more of Ethan's friends, piecing together a timeline of his brother's last weeks. Maya helped where she could, going through old text messages and emails, looking for anything that might explain where Ethan had been going that night. Clara noticed the tension. She stopped asking Maya to draw pictures and started staying in her room more. One afternoon, Maya found her sitting on the floor of her bedroom, staring at a drawing she'd made, a family of stick figures holding hands. Hey, Maya said softly from the doorway. Can I come in? Clara nodded without looking up. Maya sat down beside her on the floor. That's a beautiful drawing. Clara didn't say anything. She traced her finger over the smallest stick figure. Is that you? Maya asked. Clara nodded. Then she pointed to the tallest figure. That's Daddy. She moved her finger to the next one. That's you. And finally she touched the smallest one. That's the baby. Maya's throat tightened. You drew me and your family? Clara looked up at her, her eyes serious. Are you going to stay? Maya didn't know how to answer that. She didn't know what the future looked like. She didn't know if Lucas wanted her to stay or if she even belonged here. I'm here now, Maya said gently, and I'm not planning to leave. Clara studied her for a long moment. Then she leaned her head against Maya's shoulder. It was the first time she'd done that. Maya wrapped an arm around her carefully, like she was holding something fragile. That night, after Clara was asleep, Maya went downstairs and found Lucas sitting on the porch. The air was cool, the sky clear. He looked up when she stepped outside. Couldn't sleep? He asked. Maya shook her head and sat down beside him. Clara drew a picture today. She put me in it, in her family. Lucas smiled faintly. She's getting attached to you. I'm getting attached to her too, Maya admitted. She looked down at her weekends. I don't know what I'm doing, Lucas. I don't know how to be here without feeling like I'm intruding. Lucas turned to face her. You're not intruding. Clara's happier than she's been in years, and He stopped, his jaw tightening. Maya looked at him. What? Lucas shook his head. Nothing. Forget it. Lucas, Maya said quietly, talk to me. He let out a slow breath. I'm glad you're here, that's all. Maya felt something shift in her chest. She didn't know what it was, relief maybe, or something warmer, something she wasn't ready to name yet. I'm glad I'm here too, she said. They sat in silence for a while, the night settling around them. Then Lucas spoke again, his voice low. I think about Ethan every day, he said, about all the things I should have said to him, all the chances I missed. Maya nodded. Me too. I keep thinking, Lucas continued, what if I had just swallowed my pride and called him? What if I had tried harder to fix things? You can't blame yourself, Maya said. He made choices too. Lucas looked at her, his eyes dark in the dim light. Do you ever wonder if he would have told you about the debt, about the studio, about everything? Maya swallowed hard. All the time. I think he was ashamed. That's the thing about Ethan, Lucas said. He always wanted to be the hero. He wanted to solve everything on his own. He didn't know how to be vulnerable. Maya felt tears prick her eyes again. I wish I could have told him it was okay, that he didn't have to be perfect. Lucas reached over and took her hand. His grip was warm, steady. He knew you loved him. I'm sure of that. Maya looked down at their joined hands. She didn't pull away. Can I ask you something? Lucas said. Maya nodded. Do you regret it? He asked. Being with him, even though it ended like this. Maya thought about it. She thought about the mornings Ethan would wake her up with coffee, the way he'd kiss her forehead before leaving for work, the way he'd hold her when she was stressed, rubbing slow circles on her back. No, she said finally. I don't regret it. I just wish we'd had more time. Lucas squeezed her hand gently. Me too. By the time Maya entered her 7th month of pregnancy, the dynamic in the house had changed completely. Maya and Lucas fell into a rhythm, cooking dinner together, cleaning up the house, helping Clara with her homework. It felt almost normal, almost like a family, but there was something else beneath the surface, something neither of them wanted to acknowledge. Maya started noticing the way Lucas looked at her, quick glances when he thought she wasn't paying attention, the way his hand would linger on hers when he passed her a plate, the way he'd smile at her, soft and unguarded, before catching himself and turning away. And Maya felt it too, the pull, the warmth that spread through her chest when he was near, the way her heart would skip when he said her name. It terrified her. One evening, Lucas was giving Clara a bath while Maya cleaned up the kitchen. She was drying the last dish when she heard footsteps behind her. She's asleep, Lucas said. He leaned against the doorway, his sleeves rolled up, his hair damp from the bath. Maya set the dish down. She went down easy tonight. Lucas nodded. He didn't move from the doorway. Maya, can we talk? Her stomach tightened. About what? Lucas crossed the room slowly, stopping a few feet away from her. About this. About us. Maya's breath caught. Lucas, I know this is complicated, he said quickly. His voice was strained, like he was forcing the words out. I know the timing is terrible, but I can't keep pretending I don't feel this. Maya shook her head. We can't. Why not? Lucas asked. Because you're his brother, Maya said, her voice breaking. Because it's only been a few months. Because it's wrong. Lucas stepped closer. Is it? Or are we just telling ourselves that because we're scared? Maya turned away from him, gripping the edge of the counter. I loved him, Lucas. I still love him. I know, Lucas said softly. And I loved him too. But he's gone, Maya, and we're still here. Maya felt tears streaming down her face. I can't do this. I can't betray him like that. Lucas reached out and gently turned her to face him, his hands resting on her shoulders, his eyes searching hers. You're not betraying anyone. You're allowed to move forward. You're allowed to be happy. I don't know how, Maya whispered. Lucas pulled her into his arms. She didn't resist. She buried her face against his chest and let herself cry. For Ethan, for herself, for the impossible situation they were in. Lucas held her tightly, his hand running through her hair. We'll figure it out, he murmured. Together. When Maya finally pulled back, her eyes were red but clearer. Lucas wiped a tear from her cheek with his thumb. I need time, Maya said softly. I need to think about this. Lucas nodded. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. But over the next few weeks, Lucas did pull back. He was careful again. Distant in a way that made Maya's chest ache. He didn't sit with her at night anymore. He didn't hold her hand. When their eyes met across the room, he'd look away first. Maya understood why. What had almost happened between them and what they'd both felt was too dangerous, too complicated. So Lucas had retreated to give her the space she'd asked for, and Maya let him. She told herself it was for the best. But late at night, when the house was quiet and Maya lay alone in her room, feeling the baby move inside her, she wondered if she'd made a mistake. Maya was 8 months pregnant now. Her body had changed. Her belly was round and heavy. Her back ached constantly, and she tired easily. Lucas had insisted she stop helping around the house, but Maya was stubborn. She still cooked breakfast, still folded laundry, still read bedtime stories to Clara. One afternoon, she found Lucas in his study, staring at his computer screen. His face was drawn, tired. There were dark circles under his eyes. You look exhausted, Maya said from the doorway. Lucas glanced up. I'm fine. Maya walked in and sat down across from him. You're not fine. You've been working double shifts at the clinic, coming home to take care of me and Clara, barely sleeping. You're going to burn out. Lucas leaned back in his chair. I can handle it. You don't have to handle everything alone, Maya said quietly. Lucas looked at her then, really looked at her. Neither do you. The silence stretched between them, heavy with things neither of them could say. I've been thinking, Maya said finally, about what happens after the baby is born. I can't stay here forever, Lucas. You've already done so much. Don't, Lucas interrupted. His voice was sharp. Don't talk about leaving. Maya blinked. But I don't want you to go, Lucas said. He stood up, running a hand through his hair. I know this situation is complicated. I know it's messy, but Clara needs you and I... He stopped himself. Maya stood too. You what? Lucas shook his head. Nothing. Forget it. But Maya stepped closer. Say it, Lucas. He looked at her, his eyes dark and conflicted. I can't. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to Ethan. Ethan is gone, Maya said softly. Lucas flinched. I know, but I can't just... He turned away from her. Every time I look at you, I feel guilty, like I'm betraying him, like I'm taking something that was his. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. I'm not a possession, Lucas. I'm a person, and I have feelings too. Lucas turned back to her. What are you saying? Maya took a shaky breath. I'm saying that I feel it too, this thing between us, and I don't know if it's real or if we're just two broken people holding on to each other, but I feel it. Lucas closed his eyes. We can't. Why not? Maya asked, her voice breaking. Because you think Ethan would be angry? Because you think it's wrong? Yes, Lucas said. All of that. Maya stepped on closer, close enough that she could see the strain in his face, the pain he was carrying. Ethan loved you. He would want you to be happy. You don't know that, Lucas said. Yes, I do, Maya said firmly, because I loved him too, and I know he wasn't perfect, but he wasn't cruel. He wouldn't want us to suffer because of him. Lucas looked at her, his jaw tight. For a moment, Maya thought he might say something, but then he stepped back. I need some air, he said quietly and walked out of the room. Maya stood there alone, tears streaming down her face. 3 nights later, Maya awoke to a sharp pain in her abdomen. She gasped, clutching her stomach. It was different from the occasional discomfort she'd been feeling, sharper, more insistent, rhythmic. Lucas, she called out, her voice tight. He was there in seconds, his hair disheveled from sleep. What's wrong, the baby? Maya gasped. I think it's coming. Lucas knelt beside the bed, his hand on her shoulder. How far apart are the contractions? Maya shook her head. I don't know, I just woke up. Another wave of pain hit her. She doubled over, crying out. Lucas grabbed his phone. We're going to the hospital right now. He helped her to her feet, but before they could take a step, Maya felt something warm between her legs. She looked down and saw blood. Lucas, she whispered, her voice shaking. There's blood. Lucas's face went pale. He scooped her up in his arms, carrying her down the stairs. Clara appeared in her doorway, rubbing her eyes. Daddy? Clara asked, her voice small and scared. Stay in your room, sweetheart, Lucas said as calmly as he could. Mrs. Henderson next door is coming to stay with you. I'll be right back. He carried Maya to the car and drove faster than he should have. His hands gripping the steering wheel so hard, his knuckles turned white. Maya was crying, her hands pressed against her stomach. Please, she whispered. Please don't let me lose this baby. Lucas reached over and grabbed her hand. You're not going to lose the baby. I won't let that happen. At the hospital, they rushed her into a delivery room. The doctors and nurses moved quickly, efficiently. Lucas stood beside her, still holding her hand. She's 36 weeks, one of the nurses said. The baby's coming early, but should be developed enough. Is the baby okay? Maya gasped between contractions. The doctor checked the monitors. Heart rate is strong. We're going to get this baby out safely. The next hour was a blur of pain and fear. Maya screamed, cried, begged for it to stop. Lucas never left her side. He wiped her forehead with a cool cloth, whispered words of encouragement, held her hands so tightly she thought her bones might break. And then, finally, a cry, a small, angry cry that filled the room. "It's a girl," the doctor announced, holding up a tiny red-faced baby. Maya sobbed, reaching out for her. The nurses cleaned the baby quickly and placed her on Maya's chest. She was so small, so perfect. Her little fists waved in the air, her eyes scrunched shut. "Hi, baby," Maya whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Hi, Lily." Lucas stood beside them, staring down at the baby. His eyes were wet. He reached out slowly and touched Lily's tiny hand. Her fingers wrapped around his thumb, and Lucas made a sound, half laugh, half sob. "She's beautiful," he whispered. Maya looked up at him. "She looks like him." Lucas nodded, unable to speak. The nurses took Lily to run some tests, and Maya was moved to a recovery room. Lucas stayed with her, sitting in the chair beside her bed. "You should go home," Maya said quietly. "Check on Clara." Lucas shook his head. "I called Mrs. Henderson. She's staying with Clara tonight. I'm not leaving you." Maya closed her eyes, exhausted. "Thank you for everything." Lucas reached over and took her hand. "You don't have to thank me." When Maya awoke a few hours later, Lucas was still there. He was asleep in the chair, his head tilted back, his hand still holding hers. Maya watched him for a long moment. This man who had taken her in when she had nowhere to go, who had cared for her, protected her, who would love her daughter like she was his own. She squeezed his hand gently. Lucas stirred, blinking awake. "Hey, how are you feeling?" "Tired," Maya said, "but okay." The nurse brought Lily in, and Maya held her daughter close. Lucas moved his chair closer, watching them both. "Can I ask you something?" Maya said softly. Lucas nodded. "Do you regret it, letting me stay?" Lucas looked at her in surprise. "Never. Even with everything that's happened?" Maya asked. "Even with how complicated it is?" Lucas reached out and gently touched Lily's head. "This little girl is my niece. And you?" He stopped, his voice catching. "You're part of my family now. Both of you." Maya felt tears welling up again. "I don't know how to do this, Lucas. I don't know how to be a mother. I don't know how to move forward without Ethan." "You don't have to do it alone," Lucas said quietly. "I'm here and I'm not going anywhere." Maya looked at him, at the tenderness in his eyes. "I'm scared." "Me too," Lucas admitted. "But we'll figure it out together." The next morning, Lucas brought Clara to the hospital. The little girl burst into the room, her eyes wide with excitement. "Can I see the baby?" Clara asked, bouncing on her toes. Maya smiled. "Come here." Clara climbed carefully onto the bed. Maya adjusted Lily in her arms so Clara could see her better. "She's so tiny," Clara whispered. "She is," Maya agreed. Clara looked up at Lucas. "Is she my sister?" Lucas glanced at Maya, then back at Clara. "She's your cousin, but if you want to think of her as your sister, that's okay too." Clara gently touched Lily's hand. "Hi, Lily, I'm Clara. I'm going to teach you how to draw and read stories." Maya laughed softly. "I think she'll like that." Clara looked at Maya then, her expression suddenly shy. "Can I call you Mama?" Maya's breath caught. She looked at Lucas, who was watching them both with something unreadable in his eyes. Maya started, but Clara interrupted. "I want to," Clara said simply. "If that's okay." Maya pulled Clara close, tears streaming down her face. "Of course it's okay, sweetheart. I love you." "I love you too, Mama," Clara whispered. Lucas turned away, wiping his eyes. A week later, Maya and Lily came home. The house felt different now, fuller, louder, more alive. Clara was constantly by Maya's side, wanting to help with everything. Lucas had taken time off work to be there, and the four of them fell into a rhythm. Nights were the hardest. Lily would wake every few hours, crying for food or comfort. Maya would stumble out of bed, exhausted, and find Lucas already there, warming a bottle or changing a diaper. "You don't have to do this," Maya said one night, watching him rock Lily gently. Lucas looked at her. "I want to." Maya sat down beside him on the couch. Lily had fallen asleep in his arms, her tiny face peaceful. "I went to see Ethan's grave yesterday," Lucas said quietly. Maya looked at him in surprise. "You did?" Lucas nodded. "I needed to talk to him. to tell him about Lily, about you, about everything. What did you say? Maya asked softly. Lucas was quiet for a long moment. I told him I was sorry for not reaching out sooner, for all the years we lost. And I told him I'd take care of you and Lily, that I'd make sure his daughter knew how much he loved her. Maya felt tears sliding down her cheeks. He would have been a good father. I know, Lucas said. His voice was thick. But he's not here, and I am. Maya reached over and took his free hand. Lucas, I love you, Lucas said suddenly. He turned to face her, his eyes bright with tears. I know I shouldn't. I know it's complicated and maybe it's wrong. But I love you, Maya. I've been trying not to, but I can't help it. Maya stared at him, her heart pounding. Lucas, you don't have to say it back, Lucas said quickly. I just needed you to know. I needed to stop pretending. Maya looked down at Lily, then back at Lucas. She thought about Ethan, about the love they'd shared, but she also thought about Lucas, the man who had held her when she cried, who had stayed by her side through everything, who loved her daughter like his own. I love you too, she whispered. Lucas's eyes widened. Maya, I don't know if it's the same kind of love I had for Ethan, Maya said, but it's real and it's here, and I'm tired of being scared of it. Lucas carefully laid Lily down in her bassinet. Then he turned back to Maya and pulled her into his arms. She buried her face against his chest, and he held her tightly. We don't have to rush anything, Lucas murmured into her hair. We can take our time, figure this out as we go. Maya nodded against him. I'd like that. They stood there in the quiet living room, holding each other while Lily slept, and the night settled around them. 6 months later, Maya stood into the kitchen, watching Lucas teach Clara how to flip pancakes. Lily was in her high chair, babbling happily and banging a spoon against the tray. The house smelled like vanilla and warm syrup. Outside, snow was starting to fall, dusting the backyard in white. Clara successfully flipped a pancake and cheered. Lucas laughed, ruffling her hair. Maya walked over and wrapped her arms around Lucas from behind. He turned and kissed her forehead, a gesture so natural now it felt like breathing. What are you thinking about? Lucas asked softly. Maya looked around the kitchen, at Clara, at Lily, at the life they'd built from grief and loss and impossible circumstances. I'm thinking about how strange it is, she said, how something so beautiful can come from something so painful. Lucas pulled her closer. We're going to be okay. Maya smiled. I know. Clara ran over, throwing her arms around both of them. Group hug, Lily giggled from her high chair, reaching out her chubby arms. Lucas scooped Lily up with one arm while keeping the other around Maya and Clara. The four of them stood there in the warm kitchen, tangled together. A family built not from perfection, but from persistence, from love that refused to give up. Family didn't always start with a wedding or a plan. Sometimes it started with pain, with loss, with two people who found each other in the wreckage and decided to rebuild. And sometimes the most beautiful things took time to bloom. The story of Maya, Lucas, and their journey through grief and unexpected love teaches us a powerful lesson about resilience and the courage to embrace new beginnings, even in the shadow of loss. Maya's heartbreak over Ethan's death and Lucas's regret for their estranged past show that pain can linger, but it doesn't have to define us. Their choice to build a family, not from a perfect plan, but from shared vulnerability and a commitment to care for one another, reminds us that healing often comes from connection, not isolation. Clara's innocent trust and Lily's arrival symbolize hope, proving that beauty can emerge from the wreckage of tragedy. This tale urges us to face our fears, to forgive ourselves for past mistakes, and to open our hearts to love, even when it feels complicated or undeserved. Life doesn't always offer clear answers, but it rewards those who persist, who choose to rebuild despite the odds. Maya and Lucas's story is a testament to the idea that family is not just born, it's chosen, nurtured, and fought for. What losses have you turned into new beginnings? Share your reflections in the comments below. Your story could light the way for someone else. If this moved you, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to join our community of storytellers. Let's keep exploring these emotional journeys together. Your support makes it possible.